Focal Point AFR Talk. You might have heard the Girl Scouts are in trouble. The boycott that's been called on the sale of Girl Scout cookies because of their affiliation with Planned Parenthood. The Girl Scouts have turned into a pro-Planned Parenthood, pro-abortion organization for girls. I would think most right-thinking moms and dads wouldn't want to have their girls have anything to do with an organization like Girl Scouts that's working arm in arm, linked with Planned Parenthood to promote an abortion mentality among young girls. Anyway, they're selling their Girl Scout cookies right now, and one girl in San Francisco, she knows what marijuana does to people's appetite. She set up right outside a pot dispensary in the city in San Francisco, sold 117 boxes of Girl Scout cookies in 2 hours. Now, apparently down in Colorado, the Girl Scouts there have directed their girls to stay away from the pot shops. Now, I want to talk just for a moment about what's going on in Arizona. The governor of Arizona, Jan Brewer, has a bill on her desk right now. It's passed both houses of the Arizona legislature. This is a bill that would protect religious liberty in Arizona for Christian businessmen, Christian business owners. We've been over the stories about the baker in Oregon that could wind up going to jail because he wouldn't bake a cake to participate in a same-sex wedding ceremony, even though same-sex marriage is illegal in Oregon. We got a florist in Washington that's being sued by the Attorney General. We've got the photographer in New Mexico that's fined $6,700 because she wouldn't participate in a same-sex ceremony, even though at the time same-sex relationships had no legal status of any kind in New Mexico. So Arizona legislature has put a bill on the desk of Governor Jan Brewer to sign this bill that would protect business owners in Arizona from being penalized by the state for running their businesses according to Christian conviction. And so we are hoping that Jan Brewer will sign this thing. Both of the senators, John McCain, Jeff Flake, they're out there telling her not to sign it. She's getting a lot of pressure from Big Gay not to sign this thing. But again, you know, it's an illustration of the larger fact, ladies and gentlemen. I've said before, we are going to have to choose between homosexuality and religious liberty because we cannot have both. Every advance of the homosexual agenda comes at the expense of religious liberty, and we're seeing that right now in Arizona. Either the homosexual agenda is going to be forced into retreat, or religious liberty is going to be forced into retreat, depending on whether Jan Brewer signs this bill or not. Now, we sent an action alert in. In fact, I did an interview this morning with a media outlet in Arizona because the American Family Association, we sent an email alert to over 31,000 people in Arizona that are a part of our email network, urging them to contact Governor Jan Brewer and urge her to sign this thing for the simple reason that it protects Christians from discrimination. Now, this bill is being talked about by Big Gay as if it enshrined discrimination, as if it was a bill that promoted discrimination. It does not do that. It doesn't promote discrimination. It doesn't cause discrimination. It prevents discrimination by protecting the religious liberty of faith-driven businessmen in Arizona. So what lawmakers there are doing, they're trying to avoid what's happened in Oregon, what's happened in Washington, what's happened in New Mexico and Colorado. Now, think about it for a minute. There isn't any question that homosexuality is a sin according to Christian teaching, and that marriage, according to the Bible, according to Christianity, is exclusively a man-woman proposition. So a same-sex marriage, quote unquote, is not even a marriage. It's counterfeit. And no wedding vendor should be compelled against his conscience and against Christian conviction to positively affirm something that the scripture condemns. And so what Big A wants to do in Arizona is they want the government to force Christians to commit a sin. I mean, that's how committed they are to the agenda of Big A. They are prepared to use the tyrannical force of government to force Christians to commit a sin, to force Christians to violate their own consciences. Now remember, First Amendment of the Constitution protects the free exercise of religion. Now, exercise means exactly that. It means you get to exercise your religion 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can bring your Christian values into your business. You can run your business according to your religious principles because the Constitution guarantees you the free exercise of religion. So we've got the guarantee for the free exercise of religion, but you can read the Constitution front to back, sideways. You will find no mention anywhere in the Constitution of the right to engage in sodomy. So the constitutionally explicit right to religious liberty, that trumps a right that's not even in the Constitution and cannot be a right, the right to engage in sodomy. You may have the privilege to do it, but nobody has a moral and nobody should have a legal right to do something which is wrong. Now, every state law, Arizona's the same. They've got a law that protects discrimination on the basis of religion. You can't discriminate against somebody according to state law on the basis of religion. Well, that means that these Christian businessmen ought to be protected already. They can't be discriminated against on the basis of their religion. If they have religious values that inform the way they run their business, they cannot be discriminated against by the state or anybody else. And remember what the scripture says. You know, people ask, well, what about this? What about Christians? And there's nothing in the Bible that prohibits Christians from baking a cake for a Christian wedding. Now, it may not be that explicit, but listen to what the Bible does say. This is very straightforward. This is very unambiguous. Ephesians 5:11, listen to this. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Now, what part of take no part do people not understand? Those are three words, each of them one syllable, easy to understand. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Don't participate in them. Don't be a part of that. Don't enable that. Don't contribute to that. Don't endorse that. Don't promote that. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. So that's what you got in Arizona. Big gays out there trying to force Christian businessmen to violate their consciences. And realize if homosexual activists actually believed in tolerance, what they would do is they would respect the convictions of Christian businessmen. They would say, hey, I respect your convictions. I'll be happy to go find another vendor to take care of what I want. And in every single case, every one of these homosexual couples, whether it's in Oregon, whether it's in Washington, whether it's in Colorado, whether it's in Arizona, whether it's in New Mexico, every single one of these homosexual couples has found another vendor who is happy to photograph their weddings or make their flower arrangements or bake a cake for their reception. They had no problem getting what they wanted, but the reality is they don't believe in tolerance at all. In fact, I think they are jackbooted homo-fascist thugs is what big gay is. I'm not saying all homosexuals are like that. I'm talking about the homosexual lobby. They don't believe in tolerance. They are jackbooted homo-fascist thugs who want to use the tyrannical and totalitarian power of the state to send men of faith to jail. And that, frankly, sounds a lot more like Nazi Germany than the United States of America. Here's hoping Governor Jan Brewer signs that bill into law. Now, I want to shift gears just for a second here in the last